crypto advocates, venture capitalists, and anti-establishment libertarians alike are obsessed with Web3. And fair enough, Web3 is incredibly confusing, it's controversial. Here's why. The early web, back in the good old days, was composed of static pages of images and text. In what became known as Web 2.0, things became interoperable. Users began interacting with each other, sharing pictures and videos and opinions. But they need to find a big platform in order to read them or be offended by them, which led to today's landscape of giant megacorporations sucking up all that data and selling ads against it. Web3 advocates argue that government can't force the tech giants to do any better via regulation, so it's time for a new model where we create and own the web experience that we want, or more accurately what the advocates think we should want. I'll use some broad comparisons to help build a picture of what this experience with Web3 looks like today. Web3 today is most easily experienced in the form of a decentralized app, or dApp, which pulls data from the Ethereum blockchain rather than a general-purpose web browser which downloads everything from a single company's bank of servers. A few thousand apps are active and listed on directories like dApp Radar, and most tend to have specific uses, such as crypto trading or gaming. The blockchain, fundamentally a ledger or permanent record, is stored and mirrored across thousands of computers or nodes, owned and operated by anyone. I could own one, I don't. You could own one, you might. By storing their most important data on that distributed blockchain rather than a central database, these Web3 apps remove a crucial single point of failure: centralized megacorporations like Facebook or Google or the many others. Data written to the blockchain can't be changed, only ever added to, and those additions are copied to all nodes. Since everyone has a copy of the same data, forgery and takedowns are practically impossible. It's not a million miles actually away from the thinking behind BitTorrent. Just think back to how hard it was for the music industry to shut down people file sharing when they were basically just copying MP3s from one computer to another rather than from a web server that could be seized in a police raid. This is only a small part of what makes Web3 different. Someone needs to pay for running these nodes, putting up the power and the bandwidth, plus you still need a way to access that distributed data in the first place. The financial incentive to the people who create or help develop an app in Web3 is a token that gives them a say over the fees it charges and how it evolves. These tokens can be sold or given away, and you only need to look at NFTs to know that tokens can be extremely valuable. Right now, a significant early adopter needs to be bankrolled though, and the big money's coming from the investment firms like Andreessen Horowitz. VCs invested about $30 billion last year in crypto and Web3 projects, according to PitchBook. And it's for this very reason that some important industry figures have dismissed the idea of Web3 being a democratic online utopia. Jack Dorsey, for instance, Twitter's former chief executive officer, mocked it as a creature of Silicon Valley VC firms and limited partnerships. Furthermore, many gateways to a Web3 experience are built using familiar Web 1 and Web 2 technologies, and regular cloud-based servers like AWS, because the blockchain itself can't be used for storing large files or giant repositories of code. Meaning, again, there's technically a single point of failure in the hands of at least one megacorporation. And isn't that the whole point? That we're meant to be moving away from a centralized web? The reality is that we're so early in the development that everyone can be right and wrong about the technology on any given day or with whom you're actually speaking. What we're seeing is experimentation, trial and error, quite a lot of market speculation, and definitely a lot of fear of missing out. But in order to scale, Web3 will need to borrow from some of the best innovations made during the Web 1 and Web 2 eras, as is technology's way of course, while implementing key technologies that made cryptocurrencies possible in the first place. It's going to take years of research, billions of dollars, many arguments with regulators, debates in academia, and at some point I'm sure lawsuits when someone thinks they've been decentralized out of a refund. For Quick Take in London, I'm Nate Langson, and I've been technically speaking.